What's going on, everyone? Hunter Doyle here from Philly Insider Podcast. We're going to have Sanjay joining us soon. And yeah, we're going to be doing our usual Thursday show. If you guys are new, we're here every Thursday at around 4:50-ish. So make sure y'all check us out. We do a lot of all 22 stuff on the main channel on Philly Insider. We'll do post-game, pre-game, a lot of times with a special guest from another team who writes articles or does podcast and or both, maybe. So yeah, looking forward to keeping you guys updated. Make sure you guys go check out the network, Bird Gang Nation Sports Media. Make sure y'all check out everyone there. Go hit the links in the description and all that. But yeah, how you guys doing? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for joining me today, all you who are in here. And we're just gonna be talking some birds. I mean, this is gonna be, pretty crucial game in terms and I mean every game's been pretty crucial this year, to be honest, which it's been nice. I know the games haven't gone our way most of the time, but it's been nice to be in a lot of important games to see where we're at. Every game matters. Whether you are one of the fans who's holding out for that 7 seed, whether you're one of the ones who just wants to get to those draft picks, or you just want to see how these guys progress from week to week. The young guys. I think it's been an interesting first half to just see where everyone's at, from the coaching staff to the players. It's certainly been frustrating. I will not lie. There's been a lot of frustration around the team, whether it was Nick Sirianni just refusing to run the ball for a majority of the season and then just going fully run heavy the past couple weeks, whether it was Jonathan Gannon just giving up around 80% completion to numerous quarterbacks. I think the most we've given up, I think we gave up more quarterbacks had 80% completions against us in our first 6-7 games this year than they did the Eagles' first 1,000 games in their franchise history. Wow, that's bad. Jonathan Gannon has a lot of work to do, and I would say he's on thin ice. That's unacceptable. I mean, regardless of the personnel he has, you can't do that. You got to be able to force some completions, send a little bit of pressure. You got to have a game where you just go, you know what? Let's just go fully aggressive here, and let's just send the house a couple times. We got nothing to lose. We're not going to win this game sitting back in zone. I know there's miscommunications, like Rodney said, but you can prevent those by sending some pressure at times. So, yeah, disappointed in Jonathan Gannon. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the coaches, I mean, I think Sirianni's probably stock up right now. I think the team has been more disciplined. The play calls have been better, even in the past game, too. Still a little bit bland at times. I'd like to see him improve, but I hope this is a sign of him learning. I'm not sure, not 100% sure that's the case, but hey, we can always hope. So, yeah, we're going to be talking a lot about where this team is right now. We're, with 18 weeks, I know we've played 9 games, so we're past the halfway point in terms of games, but in terms of the entire season and the weeks, we are at the halfway point. So it's just interesting to look at where they're at right now. So we're 3-6, obviously. I don't think we're too far off of where I thought we would be, to be honest. We had a tough schedule to start the year. I think we've won and lost all the games I probably expected. I might have had some different stuff in my preseason predictions, but I mean, it hasn't gone too differently than I anticipated. I hate to say that, but look, I know people try to stay optimistic. Guys, 12-5, 13-4, 14-3, that was never realistic. I mean, 10-7 I had as our ceiling this year. Floor was like 5 or 6 wins, and I think we're going to be above the floor, especially with a lot of divisional games coming up. But I just never understood the backlash for fans who said we're around an 8. I was one of those fans who said 8-9, 9-8, maybe 7-10. I never understood the backlash from the rest of the Eagles fan base for that, because it was realistic, and that's kind of the course we're on right now. So that's been something that, I've been kind of monitoring, and I think the season's gone as expected. I think people came into the season with too high of expectations. Maybe some people too low of expectations, which, it hasn't been too far off that. But again, tough schedule, so I'm not going to judge too much. But yeah, I think the team's at an interesting spot right now where, I never cheer for the draft picks. I won't. And I also think we're at a weird spot where we're kind of, I'm thankful we're not too close to the playoff race in one aspect, because for one, when you're kind of in that pit of mediocrity where you're like fringe playoff team, fringe draft, mid-first round draft pick, it's like, you might as well just blow it up at that point. I think every situation is different. I'm not saying that applies to every team, but it's tough. It's tough to build from there, I think, when you're in that middle ground. Whereas if you're kind of one way or the other, I think you're okay. And I think the Eagles aren't really in the middle ground, so I'm thankful for that. But I also think, for those who are hoping for playoffs, I think we're absolutely in the hunt. We've got 8 games left. Thanks to my brain for doing that quick math. We've got 8 games left. And the 7th seed is the Falcons, guys. We beat the Falcons. The 8th seed, I believe, is the Panthers at 4-5, I want to say. Or they might be tied with a couple other teams. But we also beat the Panthers, too. That is absolutely attainable, I think. I said this coming into the year. I've said it throughout the year. I have not changed my stance on it. And this goes back to last year when the Bears made it at 8-8 in that 7th seed. And the Bears were in an absolute mess last year, and they made it there. That 7th seed is going to be wide open. Now, will we win first round? No, I don't think that's going to happen. Playoff experience is important, though. I do think it could, have the opposite effect where it's like, well, now all these guys' jobs are safe, and there's not really much that's going to be done the next season. So there's a lot of factors to consider. But for those who are hoping for playoffs, it's still attainable. And our schedule, I believe we have the easiest schedule here on out. Look, division, Giants and Washington, you should at least take 1 game each from them. Hopefully we go 3-1 against them. 4-0 would be great. I just think one of them will probably pull one out on us. But if you're looking for playoffs, you got to go 3-1 against those teams. You got to beat the Jets. That's 4-1. And this week, we'll get into this week when Sanjay gets here too. But this week's going to be interesting. I mean, you win that game, then maybe 4-1. Saints game depends, but I think you could see 4 or 5 more wins in here. We got Sanjay in here. What's going on, Sanjay? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Taking some time out of the schedule, to be here. Like it.
Yeah, facts. So I've just been kind of rambling on about we're at the halfway point of the season. I know we played 9 games now, and we have 8 left. But we're in we just finished week 9, and we're going on. There's 18 weeks now, so we're pretty much at the halfway point. So kind of looking at the team's floor and ceiling, I was saying my perspective from the preseason on their floor and ceiling has not changed at all. My floor was around 5 to 6 wins, I think, and that's still where I have them. I think they're going to get above the floor because I think there's a lot of winnable games on the horizon. And my ceiling was 10. They're not going to reach that, but I would say that's still where my ceiling would be for the rest of the season, because that would mean, well, actually, I think that's a little high. That would mean they go 7-1. So I'll change that. I'll put it at 9 now. I think 9 is the absolute ceiling, which I also don't see them reaching, but that's why it's a ceiling. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I think they've pretty much done what I've expected them to. Unfortunately, as much as I hate to say that, as much as I got excited, as the season approached, I think some people had too high expectations for the team. So where are you at right now? How much has your kind of floor ceiling changed since the start of the season? And what's your outlook on the rest of the season?
I got you. Well, first to address what you said about preseason expectations, I think I had the Eagles at max 9 wins. I think that was where I was at. So that hasn't really changed that much. I think I could go back and watch. I think that was my official prediction, actually. I think I said 9-8. 9-8. I think that was my official preseason record prediction. So they could still get to within that, but it's probably more realistic to see them as a 7-win team, an 8-win team. But outside of that, I just don't think much has changed big picture. And I think the thing which could have changed that for a lot of people, and you want to know why I think some people had unrealistic expectations of this season? I think a large part of it was people wanted to believe in Jalen Hurts. I think that's why you and I toned ours down, was because while we also wanted to believe, we also hadn't seen anything that told us, yeah, this is the guy. It was more so all we saw was concerns. Everything we heard, every report, every analyst we respect was there are legitimate concerns with this guy. So I think that's why our idea of preseason expectations was toned down a bit. And I got to say, man, at this point in the season, I think it's just turned out exactly how we expected. I mean, you can go back and watch the preseason previews. Anyone watching right now, if you want to double check us, feel free. But it's all the same issues which we've all known about Jalen Hurts have just come through in the biggest. And ultimately, they've capped the potential of this team. Another thing none of us could have seen coming was Sirianni. Although you know what? I'll give him his flowers. He has been better about the play calling and that he actually is running the ball the past 2 weeks. So I don't know. Is that how low the bar has fallen? It appears so. But, just a lot of things have gone against this team. And I never saw the 12, 13 wins happening. But we've given up.
That's what I was saying before you got here.
We've given up some games. We've just given up some games to teams where we had our chances. We fought for most of the way, and then we just they just let them blow us out of the water. So, I think, what did we say in the preseason prediction? I believe we said the best we could do was get to the wild card round. I think that was where I put my ceiling. I don't know if you said they could possibly go further than that. I don't think you did. But
no.
Wild card was probably our ceiling anyway, and I don't think that's changed. So if we can even make the playoffs at this point, although, the Cowboys are doing their usual Cowboys thing and collapsing, so you never know.
Yeah, it could. And the 7 seed is always wide open. I mean, the Falcons are the 7 seed right now, 4-4. And I know it was week 1, but I still think if we play the Falcons again, I still think we would beat them. I'm going to be honest. You got the Panthers behind them, 4-5, whom just lost Sam Darnold, who also wasn't even playing well. Now they're going to have to rely on Cam Newton again, whom we also beat. We also beat the Panthers this year. Like that, and we've had a tougher schedule, I think, than those two teams. Like they got to not beat up. The Falcons had to come from behind against the Trevor Siemian-led Saints team. And no disrespect to Sean Payton, he's an excellent coach, and they have talent there. But again, Trevor Siemian is not. They were not in that game for the most part, and they came back. The Falcons almost blew it. Like the Falcons, I don't think are that great of a team. So. And like you said, we've let some games go. Like the 7 seed, I would still say is absolutely attainable. And like you said, if the Cowboys slide, if something's up with Dak's shoulder, I think we could win the division because that's a different story. Cooper Rush.
I really think something has to be the matter, man. I mean, come on, that last game was bad. That was bad. Like as a Cowboys hater, I can say nobody expected their offense to fall that flat.
No, not at all. Yeah, and they just missed a couple 3rd and 4th down conversions too. Like that was the story of that game early on, and that just led to the Broncos capitalizing, which was also weird to see. We'll get into the Broncos too, but yeah, I mean, I think that for those who are holding out hope, like look, there's a lot of winnable games on the horizon. Like this week, I know the Broncos are coming off a good win, and it's really tough to win in Mile High Stadium. That's not an easy place to play with the oxygen, and for a pass rush that's already struggling to get home, a place with that oxygen level is not exactly helping. So this week's going to be tough. I'd say it's a winnable game, though. I personally want us to win, but I think it's a winnable game. And then you've got the Saints, which again, bipolar, like you said. You've got
multiple personality disorder to be exact. You can't tell. They got all kinds of personalities in there with the Saints.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got New York, Washington. That's 4 games right there. You've got the Jets in 1 game. The Jets, you don't know what Jets. Well, we're not good, so the Jets probably won't show up to play us. They'll let us stop on that.
It's true, yeah.
Like look, those are all like winnable games, and I don't think like the next 2. I think we're gonna have a tough time winning. I'll be honest, but yeah, for those who hold out hope, like there's still a chance we could. Now on the flip side of that. Hey, those draft picks looking real nice right now.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they are.
If the Dolphins can lose tonight, that would be big. And then we need the Texans to start winning a little bit. We're gonna need the Texans and Lions to pull. I think the Lions will string together a couple wins at the end of the season.
Why do we need the Texans and Lions to win again? I forgot.
So the Lions are the number 1 pick. Texans are 2.
I got you. To get them to fall in the draft order. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's still a chance we can move up to that. I mean, if we get number 1, Sanjay, there's an edge rusher from Oregon who's like, no one's even arguing who's the first pick, and it's literally been the same since the beginning of the year. So that's how good he is. And it's been since the end of last year. That's how good he is.
I got you. What's his name?
Kayvon Thibodeau.
Okay.
So we'll get the better Kayvon on the team.
Better Kayvon. Okay, nice. I got you. Yeah, man. R.I.P. R.K.Von. What happened to R.K.Von, man?
Honestly, man, like man's getting out-snapped by a special teamer right now.
It's sad. We do stand Marcus Epps on this podcast, though. We harsh on him so much, but He's actually a pretty good dude. So you know what? Shout out Marcus Epps. We love you, man.
He is. He is. And he's been good in the run game this year. I'll give him – he's been a good
Yeah.
tackler this year, which I didn't expect to say. Still not a fan of him in coverage, but, hey, I mean, every guy's got their deficiencies. He's no Rudy Ford like last week, I'll say. But
so Hunter is so happy that Rudy Ford is balling right now, man. Hunter is – you guys don't understand. You don't know how many Rudy Ford, like, stat analyses, which I have been texted at, like, to midnight just by this dude. Oh my gosh.
That's my guy. That's my guy. So talking about going on to this week, man, which is kind of the focus. How do you feel going into this game? I mean, obviously I mentioned a couple concerns, one of them just being the altitude. I mean, that is literally a concern every time you go into Denver. Thank the Lord we only have to go there every 8 years. But yeah, I remember the last time we played them. Foles and the Eagles got blown out. Cox had the oxygen mask on, and you could tell he was tired, and that was when he was young. So how are you feeling going into this game? Concerns, points that make you a little optimistic? I know you haven't been the most optimistic this year, as myself. I've been the same. But how are you feeling? What do you think? What are some of the big things you're going to be watching this Sunday?
Hey, man, like you said, I have not been the most optimistic about this season. I will be the first to admit that. If anything, I've been the complete opposite, completely pessimistic. Even in some games, even when against the Lions, I was pessimistic about it. But you know what, man? I just feel like this has been kind of just a messy rebuild year. People have been trying to say retool. I don't think we should look at it that way, because I'll tell you what happens when you try to retool. When you try to retool, you end up mediocre. And that is my nightmare. I don't ever want to have to watch a mediocre team. Mediocre is how you get to where, like, the Vikings have been, where they're just, you can count on them to win a few games and they're a decent team, but nobody ever mentions the Vikings. Yeah, nobody ever mentions the Vikings in actual Super Bowl contention, though. Nobody does that, ever. So that's my point. Like, I just don't want us to end up like that. And honestly, since Peyton Manning's time, that's kind of where the Broncos have been too, They've been on that fringe to bad and just stuck in mediocre. But let me talk specifically about this matchup. It's really just about how well can our offense perform against their defense. Because their defense is the strong point of that team. Everybody will be like, but Teddy B was on fire last week. He put up like 30 points. Teddy B takes
great field possession.
Exactly. Great field position. But Teddy B is also just a game manager. Teddy B isn't going to lose you a game, but he's not going to win it for you either. He just goes off of however the team is going. So, like, if you're already playing with the lead, you got a short field, like Hunter was saying, Teddy B's the guy. He'll bring that game home. He won't do anything dumb to cost you the game. But if you're down, Teddy B ain't going to bring you back. He ain't going to have no miraculous come-from-behind victory. That's just not his thing. So, it's really about, can our offense stay in a scoring game? Can we put a little pressure early, come out strong, good play calling? We've seen our scripted drives typically in the first quarter end very well. So I'm hoping we can keep that trend going. Yeah. So let's see about that. And this is my biggest question mark for this week, though, which I'm sure you must have expected from me. Man, these past 2 weeks, we have been competing with the run, just running the ball down people's throats, really establishing it, giving Jalen Hurts easy throws, getting the defense on their heels, so then play action can make something happen, and giving Jalen easy decisions, quite frankly. And even then, sometimes, some of the decisions haven't been the best. My point being, this Broncos run defense, they ain't going to let us run all over them, fam. This ain't the Lions we are talking about. This is not the Chargers' terrible run defense. This is the Broncos. The Broncos' run defense is for real. They're going to come after us. And then we can establish the run to a certain degree, but then at some point, Jalen's got to make some throws. And, the back end of that secondary ain't terrible. I really hope I can see him expose Ronald Darby, because I'm pretty sure he's on the Broncos too. But
he is.
That back end of their secondary feeds off the defensive line and the pressure they get. And with our offensive line nicked up, and like you said, that altitude, it's easy for people to get gassed, man. Easy for people to get tired. You take a play off, you don't get back as fast. And our boy already doesn't have the best pocket presence. So I just think this could end up being a messy game. I think people are getting a bit too excited about it. If we can establish the run, I think that's where our hope lies once again. But I just don't know if we can, bro. This is a tough Broncos front seven.
Yeah, I agree. I think the big thing for me is, can they get, if Rager's going to be, I don't know if he was fully healthy or not last week. I don't know what his deal is right now. I know he played, but you never know if they're nursing an injury or not. If you can get him involved in the run game to spread them out a little bit, keep Hurts involved in the run game. And, I think that my point being, you just got to spread them out. Like you can't, I don't think that north-south, just under center zone type of style is going to work this week. You're going to have to add some wrinkles in, some motion, just some misdirection. Like there's going to have to be eye candy that you can get the Broncos to take the bait, because you're not just going to win by just trying to overpower them and go mano y mano and win that way. That's not going to work. And yeah, like you said, we can pick on Ronald Darby a little bit. That would make my day. I know Pat Surtain's a little banged up. Means Ronald Darby is probably going to be CB1. And I would love to just see Devontae just torch him, only for Hurts to overthrow him or underthrow him. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that matchup. I will say I think we're going to end up going a little more pass heavy, because I don't think Sirianni's going to get creative with the run game, and I think that once the runs doesn't work initially, he's going to go away from it. And I hate to say that, but I think that's what's going to be the case. Now, obviously Broncos defense played well last week. They did still lose Von Miller. I know they looked okay without him last week, but that's still a big loss. And if you can kind of hold that defensive end just by having Jalen Hurts as a running threat, hopefully that can help too. And Goddard again, just feed Goddard, man. I'm not going to harp on it anymore. I'm not going to talk about the scheme or details anymore. Like we did last week when we went through the air. It was him and Devontae, which I love. And we have fed Goddard the past couple weeks, but I just wish they would feed him more. I just think he's too good to only get 3 catches last week, even in a run-heavy game. I still thought they should have gone his way more often. So, but you know what? You keep with what was working. I'm not going to criticize the offense for the performance last week. I thought that they did a pretty fine job executing, and it was very, very smart game plan too, based on how the Chargers attack things. But yeah, I mean, speaking of the defense, though, Jonathan Gannon, man, for a guy like Teddy Bridgewater who just takes his completions underneath, man, he's going to have a field day. And I think that there was a stat, 80. I said this earlier, but before you got here, but 80% completion from, I want to say it was like 6 or 7 or 8 quarterbacks, maybe. I forget how many, but that's as many as the Eagles have had, I think, given up in their first 1,000 games as a franchise, or I don't know, maybe not 1,000. I don't think there's 1,000, but you get my point. As many as they gave up for most of their franchise's history is as many as they gave up in the first 6 or 7 games this season. Point being, whether that stat is correct or not, I don't know the exact stat. Jonathan Gannon has been really, really bad, and there's no way around it. He just gets very. Speaking of creativity, he lacks it when it matters the most. And there's times where I'm like, look, I know we're probably going to get, where the linebacker's probably going to get torched in space, but why not just send pressure and just send the house a couple times and make the quarterback make a split decision? And if they beat you, they beat you. But going zone, going cover 4 and cover 2 when you're playing a deep cover 2, this whole game is not going to work anymore, man. Stop it. Send some pressure. Just send the house at some point. I don't care. I don't care who you have on the back end. I just want to see him send the house. Again, I've gone over Jonathan Gannon's play calls before. I've talked about it a lot, but I'm at the point where I don't even feel like explaining my rationale anymore. The rationale is out the window. Just make them make a split decision, and maybe they make a mistake. I don't know. What do you think about the Broncos? And not to mention Javonte Williams just breaking tackles left and right. I mean, what do you think about our defense, how they match up with the Broncos offense? I mean, I didn't even mention the receiving threats.
Dude, I'll get to the offensive part second, but to talk Gannon first, it's just a matter of being stubborn about your philosophy. And it is the mark of a good defensive coordinator to me that you are flexible. Because especially in a day of today's NFL, where your offenses are just so innovative. You see some of the play calls people come up with these days. They got quadruple moves in one of the Raiders' offensive routes. They have quadruple moves now in today's NFL. People get creative on the offensive end these days, man. The whole thing of, I just have one style of defense that I run and I believe in this philosophy. It's a very outdated concept. And the best defensive coordinators in this game just don't do it like that anymore today. It's just not the way it works. You got to adjust the personnel. You got to adjust to game plan. You got to adjust to your opponent. What are they doing? What do they do well? What do they do bad? You got to be able to adjust. And like you said, Gannon just lacks the creativity, or maybe it's not even the creativity. Maybe he just lacks the will to do that. He just stubbornly believes in his just own defensive philosophy. And it's not a philosophy that has shown much fruit yet. So I don't even know where the standard for him to believe in it is. But, whatever. And as in terms of the yards, I mean, come on, we all knew that was going to happen. It's just not a defense meant to prevent yards. It's a defense meant to prevent scoring. The only issue is if you keep giving up underneath routes forever, eventually they're going to score. So, that is what it is. That's all I have to say about Gannon. I just think at this point it's become clear that he is stubbornly committed to his philosophy. He won't budge from it, and it just is what it is with him. I think we're going to have to win. Some games, it'll come through because just by pure statistical chance. Like some games that defense will come through. Other games it won't. That just is what it is. Getting specifically to our Broncos offense, man. If they had any other quarterback but Teddy B, I would call them serious contenders. And Javonte, you want to talk Javonte? Javonte's a big boy. I'll give him all of his props. But even Melvin Gordon ain't washed, man. Melvin Gordon will still get up there. It will still get you a few yards. He will still hit that. Gordon ain't no schlub. And then you got Javonte too. That cut out for a bit.
You did, yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. What did last thing I left off on? What was the last thing I left off on though? Javonte too, just they do it over there, man. They got some offensive firepower. You want to talk Cortland Sutton? Jerry Jeudy is back, I believe, as of last week. Yes. Jerry Jeudy is back. Yes, no.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was reading something.
I got you. Yeah, well, he's back too now, and I believe who's their slot receiver? Is Jerry Jeudy the slot?
Sutton, I'll have to check the slot.
Fitzpatrick. Tim Patrick. Not Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll have to check the slot percentages. I imagine Hamler plays in the slot a good bit, but I think they move guys around a good bit. They might go. I don't know how much 12 personnel. I'll get back to you on that.
I got you, but they have weapons, and I believe is Noah Fant was injured last week. Is he playing this week?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll probably find out closer to the game, but they might already have the information out. So I'm not sure.
Well, my point being, they got offensive weapons, man. That was all to make the point that they have offensive weapons. If their quarterback was anyone aside from Bridgewater, I would seriously consider them possible Super Bowl contenders. Like that's how good of a roster they have. They just haven't figured out the quarterback spot. Now, I just think it's going to be a matter of getting picked apart, like you said. For a defense that gives up the underneath route, Teddy B is all too happy to take that. And he is a smart veteran quarterback. No one will ever accuse him of being a world burner. But, if you show him a defense, he knows what his read's going to be. He knows what coverage you're in. He will make what throw you give him over and over and over, and he'll be glad to settle for that. He's not trying to force it in nowhere. He's not trying to make no dumb mistake. Like I mentioned, he will not lose you the game. So, I don't think the focus is to be on the defense versus offense matchup. I think Cohen will just be set by our offense, and the Broncos' offense is just going to follow whatever their defense does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I agree with Seth too. The personnel is not that you have to adjust for your personnel, and it doesn't seem like Gannon understands anyone in his personnel. Dropping Fletcher Cox out to QB spy, and the thing I have I do like the defensive backs blitzing every so often. I think it's a good wrinkle to throw in. But the problem with that is then you're asking your linebackers to cover more space in zone coverage or to pick up another assignment in man. And
our linebackers are not that good.
No. And also, like Seth said, if they're not going to play well in pass coverage, why not send them at some points? Send them into the backfield. Let's see them blitz. I mean, you just see no creativity. I mean, Singleton's been used as the blitzer a little bit, but that's the only guy. I don't think I've seen Davion blitz once this year. And Davion's been playing consistent snaps. And he's an athletic dude. Let him use his strength and athleticism, either get around the edge or to get into the chest of a tight end or someone who's helping out, or a running back who's helping out blocking, and let him go in there and just blow that play up. Because even if he's not technically sound, you can work on that in blitzing, and he's athletic, like I said. I don't think I've seen that much. I mean, I've seen TJ blitz a little bit, but That's all. So we just lost Sanjay. Hopefully get him back for the last few minutes. I know he's got to go soon, but yeah, I agree with you, Seth, man. Seth, this is the first time I've seen you on here, so make sure you go sub to our channel. We'd love to have you. We do a lot of live streams there and stuff, so make sure you go check us out on there. And hopefully we get Sanjay back. Sanjay, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. My bad, man. It just cut out for a second. Don't even know why.
Got you. No worries. No
Oh
worries.
my goodness.
Also, my guy Pat Johnson. Love Pat Johnson. Haven't seen him in a little bit, but Avery's been fine at the same spot. No. Coach Dante, what's going on? Good to see you, man. But yeah, no, Seth, I completely agree with you, man. It makes no sense. And yeah, Odell is going to be a Ram. That was out of all the teams who are. I mean, that was shocking. There were a lot of teams in the mix for that. I did not think the Rams were going to snag him, but yeah, we'll see if it pays off for the Rams. It's going to be interesting to follow that and
all I have
how
to
it
say
affects.
Is you better not take fantasy points away from Cooper Kupp, who's carrying my whole team right now.
I personally will be hoping for that, no lie. But
oh my goodness. Man.
But
bro, I got to get out of here soon though. So I just wanted to ask if there was any other things you wanted me to comment on before I did.
No, anything you want to say before you head out, go for it, man.
I got you. I think for one, this will be key to see what's the character of this team. I think this could be a game where we might have to fight our way back in. And I don't know if we can do that yet. We'll see. I'm very curious. At this point, it's just about evaluating young guys. I don't so much. The loss is still going to hurt if we lose. But more so, I'm looking to see what do the young guys have. I'm really still hoping Hurts can prove me wrong, even though at this point, I'm like 90% sure he won't. And you know, let's see what Sirianni up to me that he's used to. Maybe he is just getting used to being head coach. Maybe he is just getting used to fully offensive play calling. Let's see. This is just about evaluating people now. I'm trying to detach my emotions from it, even though I know I won't fully be able to. Because I am an Eagles fan at the end of the day. And you know, you're a fan, a fanatic. You're insane for the team. That is what it is. But no, that's it. We'll do our official preview and prediction. I'll give all that stuff tomorrow. But for now, signing off, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Go check us out. Thanks for tuning in. Check out Bird Gang stuff. And yeah, man, I'm out. Good to be on.
Hey, thanks for coming on, Sanjay. Well, for the next part or last part of the stream, I guess. I mean, I'll just stay on here. Seth, Blue City, Coach Dante, JC, Bird Gang, any of you guys in the chat. Like, if you all got questions, anything you want to comment on, let me know. I will talk about it. But I feel like we pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover here. And again, we do our weekly post-game show. We do a post-game show on Mondays, but we do our pre-game show on Fridays or Saturdays. Usually with a guest. I'm not sure if we'll have one on this week, but usually we go very in-depth on those, and we'll get you guys everything you need to know going into the matchup. And we'll go matchup by matchup, offense, defense for both sides. And we'll just kind of look at, what the game's going to look like. So, we'll talk about the big headlines going into the game too. And yeah, I mean, anything you guys got, I'll stick around for a few minutes here, but just kind of a shorter stream today, guys. Nothing too fancy. I mean, just kind of wanted to cover where the team's at, Eagles, Broncos. I guess to finish up, I'll go game by game. If you guys don't got anything, I'll just go game by game, and I'll do a record prediction for how I think the rest of the year is going to go. And I'm going to check if ESPN Playoff Machine is on up here yet. So for those of you who are hoping for playoffs, no, they have not updated it for this year yet. So we're going to have to wait. But Seth says we haven't seen enough from Hurts to judge him yet, in my opinion. Want to give him next season as well. We have to use picks on other players. What do you see happening? Yeah, well, one, I'll say I'm with you on, and I don't mean like if I have a different opinion, I mean I'm not saying mine is truth and yours is wrong or anything. I think a lot of content creators do that these days. So, but here's what I'll say: as far as we using the picks, I agree. I think. No, I'm not taking a quarterback. And this is coming from, if you guys don't believe me, this is coming from a diehard Matt Corral fan who called Matt Corral from last season after 2020 and said he was going to be one of the better quarterbacks coming in this year. Did I think he was going to be a Heisman candidate and the number one quarterback in the draft? No. But as much as I love Matt Corral, I think he's got some things to work on that I go check out my articles. I've done some, I actually wrote about him a lot, but I think he's got a lot to work on. And also, I don't think the Eagles situation will be good for him. Now, I will say at the same time, with those first round picks and also with the quarterbacks who are going to be on the market this year, you always got to look to upgrade. And it's unfair to Hurts. It is. I hate to say it, but when you have Wilson and Rodgers, and I'm not saying they'll want to come here, but if there's any possible chance, you have to go chase them and you have to see if they can come here. So I think you absolutely have to pursue one of them because that's just a rare opportunity. It doesn't matter what situation you're in that, I've steered the Lions. You're probably not going to pursue them, but, for most teams, I would say majority of the teams, like 27 out of 32, you're probably going to go out there and chase one of those guys, right? I'm not saying we're going to get them, but as far as Hurts, I think we have a good sample size now. Is it enough to say what he's going to be, for his whole NFL career? No, I don't think so. But I also think that there's a lot to be concerned about. I mean, he does take. JT O'Sullivan pointed out, and I've started to notice it the more I've watched film. His 3-step drops, it's 3 steps and then a shuffle. And you can't really do that. That's not really supposed to happen. The coach has got to work on that with him. He gets kind of heel clicky back there too. Oh, you have been watching a while. Appreciate you, man. That means a lot. I did not know you were a sub to our channel. So we appreciate you, man. Sorry we haven't seen you before, but love you, brother. So thank you for being on our channel. But yeah, I mean, I do think I would say next year. I mean, look, it's kind of a win-win if you let Hurts, because if Hurts plays and he does well, great, we can move forward with him beyond that. If he doesn't play well, we'll have a good draft pick again probably. And well, I'll talk about the caveat for that in a second. But if he doesn't play well, then for sure. But I do think with the market this year, waiting till next year, I might be a little bit risky because you don't know who's going to be out there in 2023. But yeah, I mean, look, I've definitely gone back and forth on Hurts. I mean, I've been critical of him at times. I've offered points of optimism for him at times. I think that, I think we've seen some growth, but also some of the same, if I'm being completely honest. I think I thought last week he played very well. There were a couple of throws he missed that you just can't miss. And what I will say as a counterpoint to that is there are a lot of young QBs who miss the same throws Jalen Hurts does. And I think people lose sight of that. Like, a lot of the quarterback class this year is not playing well. And you can say the situation around them is not good. And that is true for some of them. That's very, very true. But they're also making a lot of poor throws. I think, Jalen, I just get the thing about that I was going to get to about next year is if you do let him play, you might not be guaranteed either knowing he's the answer or not still, because we might just find out about Jalen that this is just who he is, and he's pretty solid, but not good enough to, maybe he's just a fringe playoff guy, but he's also not bad enough to where you're like, well, he's absolutely not the answer, which, again, like Sanjay said, is like that pit of mediocrity is very, very concerning. So you got to be careful with that. But again, I want to emphasize, like, the situation the Eagles put Jalen Hurts in from the time he was drafted was just kind of unfair. I mean, the whole situation last year with everything was just like, that was a whole distraction. He's still, credit to him, he played really well in the Cardinals game. I would say he played pretty well in the Packers game, stuff that can be cleaned up, but played well in the Packers game, played well in the Saints game. He did what was asked of him. And the first quarter or two of the Cowboys game, he played really well. Now, unfortunately, after that, in the Washington game, he did not play well. And there was a throw in the back of the end zone that was very similar that he missed to Quez Watkins, like the Devontae one. So that's where the concerns lie. I think you see some of the same issues, mechanical issues, recognition issues that we saw when he got here and when he was in college too. So I kind of see both sides of it. I do have concerns about Hurts, but I do think there's points of optimism. I think you're right. I think we just need to see him play. I think at least we need to just see him play the rest of the year and finish out before I really make not a full evaluation on him, because the evaluation is going to continue throughout his whole career here, but just to make a fair evaluation on him on his first full season, and what we saw last year too, and how he's developed. So, yeah, I mean, Hurts is definitely interesting. I do wonder how much, his ability affects the play calling at times. I wonder what Sirianni's play calling will look like with another quarterback. I'm not saying it will look better or worse, but I just wonder. Because I think there are times where I wonder if Hurts limits it. I wonder if there's times where Sirianni calls a little bit too much Oklahoma stuff for Hurts, and doesn't let him branch out. So I think there's an element of both, and I think we just got to see the Eagles play more to really find out what the case is with that. That was a little long winded, but thank you for the question. Yeah, to answer your question, I mean, I agree. I think we got to see a little bit more from Hurts. I think we just need to give him a little more time. I'm not saying I believe in him personally. I don't think he's the answer. I would love him to be. I think he's a great guy. I think he's got a lot of intangibles, and if he develops, I think he can be a really good quarterback. And I love the guy. I think he's an awesome dude. Like, this is the guy who you want leading a locker room, but talent does factor in. And I don't know if I believe in his ability to be a passer enough to be an NFL quarterback. So I think he's an NFL quarterback, but to be, the guy, a franchise guy, or like a top 15, 16 guy even. So that's where my concerns lie. But yeah, to answer your question, need to give Hurts a little more time, even though I believe that. And what do I see happening? I do think we move on from Hurts after this year. If I had to take a guess, I think that's what's going to happen. Whether and that's not my bias or anything. Like, I just think that they're going to trade for someone, or they're going to draft someone. Which, trading for someone, I would advise, if you can get into Rodgers or Wilson, absolutely, you 100% do that. But quarterbacks in the draft, I'm not. I mean, Corral, I'll be hyped because I'm a Corral guy, but I don't think that's going to end very well. To be honest, I hope I'm wrong. Other than that, Willis, I'm not taking. I think he's got a lot of the talent, but I'm not sure. I think he's going to have to take a lot of time to get up to speed with processing the game. And Pickett's played really well. I got to watch some film on him because I've been hearing great things. I've seen some of his throws, but I'm not sure if that, a fifth-year senior, that's what's probably going to knock his stock a little bit. Maybe you get him in the third, but then you're going back to what you did a couple years ago by drafting Jalen in the second. Like, you want to draft a day two guy in hopes that he can be a franchise guy. If Hurts didn't pan out as a day two guy and you're replacing with another day two guy, what does that say? Like, I don't know if I do that. I do want to see more Pickett though. Maybe more film will convince me. Sam Howell, I just don't think. I think a lot of it's just he's had some good weapons around him while he's been at UNC, and I just worry about him. I think he's inconsistent, and I think he's a slow starter as well. Like, I think that, but what I mean by that is that he just starts the year a little bit slow at times. I'm not sure if he's the guy either. So I'm concerned about him. And I'm trying to think who else. I'm probably going to feel so stupid when I remember who else is there in the quarterback market this upcoming draft. But yeah, that's my thoughts. So that was very long-winded, Seth, but thank you for the question. I agree 100%. I just have huge hope for him. We get the right kind of coach with Hurts. I like him to be. Absolutely. Hurts is, I think, I'm 100% with you on the last part. Like, Hurts is absolutely a backup quarterback at the minimum in this league. He's proven that. And he's, if you think about it, like, if he's going to be a backup at whether it's the Eagles or another team, like, that is a great backup to have. That's a guy who can come in and he can win you a game against a team. Like, and his mobility, if you have a non-mobile quarterback, if you get a non-mobile quarterback in front of him and then they go down and Hurts comes in, like, then that's a new element they got to account for with his mobility. So, yeah, I absolutely think he's a backup quarterback at the very, very least. That's very well said. I think he's a fringe starter too. My opinion is I think he's a fringe starter. I just think the Eagles are a team. They like to get their guy, and I don't blame him. I mean, I would too. So, yeah, 2022 is kind of what I was talking about. I would personally, I'm not on board with that. Again, big Matt Corral guy, but I don't think that's the case. Do you mean 2023 maybe? If so, I mean, I know a few of the guys in there. I'm not sure if that class is too great either. But again, we got to wait. Probably got to wait a year. But there's some guys who you could definitely take there. As far as this year, I'm gonna look some of them up because I probably forgot a couple of them. Some of the guys who were on the radar this year, like Slovis from USC, JT Daniels, Jaden Daniels. Like, I mean, I can't speak for all of them, but like maybe some of them haven't been all that bad, but they haven't exactly raised their stock either. Like, that's the problem. Is that I personally thought, while everyone thought the QB class was going to be garbage heading into the season, I thought some guys would elevate a little more than they did. And Corral did, but not really anyone else. So looking at Pro Football Network, I love Pro Football Network. I think they're a really good site, especially for scouting. So we got honorable mentions: Slovis, Will Levis from Kentucky has been really good. Grayson McCall, unfortunately, just got hurt. That absolutely sucks. Sam Hartman and Bailey Zappi from Western Kentucky has been good. Sam Hartman, the guy who was on that QB1 show. But those are honorable mentions. 1 is Corral, as expected. 2, Sam Howell. 3, Carson Strong. That's one I forgot. Carson Strong has been very good this year. That's a guy to watch. But, again, I'm not sure if he's a franchise guy. Malik Willis, talked about him. Pickett, talked about him. Caleb Ellaby from Western Michigan, another guy like Zappi who just like plays for a smaller school. But hey, I mean, I might have to go watch some Ellaby. Maybe he's really doing this thing. I know Corey Davis came out of Western Michigan. You never know. You never know. Now, Corey Davis wasn't. I don't think he was worth as high as he was drafted, but he did end up being really good. Big play Slay. What's going on, man? About to wrap up here, but I'm staying around. If you guys got any questions, anything you want me to answer, Seth's been asking some questions, but any questions y'all got, any comments, anything you want me to talk about, I'm here to talk about. So that's just what the last 5-10 minutes are going to be for. So anything you want to ask Big Play Slay or share your opinion on, please do. I know we were talking about Rager on your live a little bit ago, which is another interesting topic of discussion. But yeah, anything you want to talk about, man. And Rattler, I don't know how Rattler's still 7. This was a couple weeks ago, but yeah, wow, Rattler fell off hard. Sorry, Ian. Ian loves Caleb Williams though, so it's kind of a win-win for him. Desmond Ritter, I'm not sure he's the guy. I'm really not. Jake Haener from Fresno State, he's been pretty good, but I don't know if he's like a franchise guy either. And then 10, Jaden Daniels. So yeah, Troy, just a little bit. But hey, better late than never. Appreciate you tuning in, man. We're just wrapping up. Any questions you got about the Birds this week? What the kind of the stakes are right now? Further AM from, I think I know you from Twitter. What's going on, man? Appreciate you subscribing, man. Appreciate it a lot. Good to see you in here. Any questions y'all got? Anything you want me to talk about? That's what I'm here for. We'll be doing the preview show Friday or Saturday. Hoping to get a Broncos guy on there, but we don't know if we can. But we'll have it for you guys anyway with all our research ready to go. Hopefully some All-22 tomorrow. I'll try to get that out. Been a little slow in that, the whole season, but it's just been busy. And anything you guys want me to break down, let me know too. But that's kind of the plans for the channel. We posted our Throwback Thursday today. We got the Jay Ajayi and Corey Clement against the Broncos a couple years ago. That was awesome. So that's the thing. You can always post a couple throwback highlights just to lighten the mood a little bit and look back at the good old days, which was again only 4 years ago. Crazy to think, but yeah. So who are the inactives going to be? That's a great question. Well, let me go back to the inactives from this past week. Obviously, Minshew's going to not Minshew. Sorry, Sinnott is going to be one of them. Used to be Minshew. I'm trying to think who else. Probably Opeta. Opeta's usually always one. I'm going to look up what the inactives were last week just to help me a little bit. Week 9 inactives. I'm trying to think who else. I don't think probably not any linebackers because we got rid of Wilson now, who was the one inactive. That's a tough one. That's a good one, man. They usually are similar week to week. I mean, it depends. J-Jaw's health, that definitely depends on that too. Oh, Jack Anderson. I forgot about Jack Anderson. I actually mocked Jack Anderson to us in one of my mock drafts, 6th round last year. And didn't get drafted by us, but did end up. I also had Nick Eubanks drafted to us as well in one of them. Ended up coming on the practice squad for a little bit, and then we released him. But Slay playing, I think he will. He suited up last year when he was a little banged up, and I think he's going to be good to go. But I'm not sure if he's 100% if he plays, but I think he will go out there and suit up. So who else we got? Josiah Scott will probably be inactive. It seems like Shasharay is really that versatile guy on the back end because he's played single high. When Maddox went out for part of the game last week, he was playing the slot, even doing he blitzed out of the slot a little bit when need be. So they clearly trust him to be the guy there if they need him. Tay Gowan, Mac McCain, Kerry Vincent, all those guys. Once we get Kerry Vincent up to speed, I'll be interested to see if maybe he can be active because I think I like Kerry Vincent. I'm an LSU guy, and I think he's a good corner. So. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe he's active. Not this week though. So short answer, I think, kind of cop-out answer. I think it's going to be mostly the same. I mean, J-Jaw kind of depends because they like to use ones. He's a good special teamer and he's a good blocker in both pass protection and in the run game. So I think that's important to note. So I think, it depends on if he's back. If he's back, I would say, looking at the roster, maybe Patrick Johnson. I think Patty J's been really good on special teams, and I do like him playing the Sam. He hasn't played much of the Sam in recent weeks, though, so maybe him. But before him, I would say it would probably be Tuipulotu. I think he's definitely up for an active this week. You guys know I'm not a big fan of him. I don't think he's a very good player, but I understand why they kept him, and they think he can be good down the road if he can hopefully not expose his pad level too much. He has the size to be that like run stuffer, zero tech type guy. So, I'm not ruling him out, becoming good down the road, but I think he could be an inactive. Yeah. I mean, those are pretty much all of my guys I would consider for an inactive spot. Maybe Kayvon. Kayvon has not been playing like at all, but he's also a special teamer. So yeah, I mean, I guess they'll see who's in and who's out come like Sunday around game time, and we'll find out. But that's my answer. Philly's finally bringing in guys. I know. It makes me very happy. Troy finally got an assistant GM in there. I mean, Philly's luck, it won't change anything, but hopefully it does. Yeah, we'll have some Philly stuff coming out for you guys soon. Actually, I'm going to post tomorrow or Saturday. I'm going to post the video me and Nate recorded on Stay or Go for Philly's free agency, and also sounds like we got interest in spending a lot on pitchers, which is needed, and Starling Marte. I will die if we get Starling Marte. I'll be so happy. But that's Philly's talk for another time, guys. I'll leave it open for like one more minute or two. If you guys got any questions, I'll answer them. But thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate it. That's the update on kind of what we're doing for the channel the next couple of days. We'll have some stuff coming out for y'all. Daily content as usual. We're on the road to 1K. I think we're around like 634, 633 right now. So thank you guys so much for getting us there. And we're just going to keep going. We're hoping we'll see, maybe 1K by the end of the year. I don't know about that, but we will see. We will see. But thank y'all for tuning in. It was a blast talking with some of y'all, even if it was late. Appreciate you stopping in, Troy. But God bless y'all. Run, baby, run when he's back. Fly, Eagles, fly. And we'll see y'all later. Peace.